G'day viewers, let's have a look at the Feather River Canyon Enhanced. It's the Oroville to Portola route. It's in California, in the mountains. It's run by the Western Pacific, although there is some other stuff with it. You do get the route itself, the Electromotive F7, the Electromotive SW9, the Electromotive GP9, the Electromotive GP35, the Electromotive GP42. Electromotive, if you've never heard it before, EMD, Electromotive Diesel, there you go. And the General Electric U30B. So you do get a bunch of stuff with it. We will have a bit of a look at each of the scenarios, just a quick little jump into each one. But there is the Inside Gateway BN171, so that's a Burlington Northern. These are all career scenarios. And that one is Western Pacific, Great Northern, an artery for tonnage moving between the Pacific Northwest and California. You are the engineer of train BN171, a secondary freight which originated at Spokane, Washington. As the scenario begins, you have stopped at Crescent Mills for a set out and pick up work. There's a bit of shunting in that one, that's good. One thing I dislike about a lot of American routes is you just run the thing from one end to the other, and that bores me to tears. To see there's a bit of shunting in this makes me happy. Okay, the EMD GP9 WP Green Highline Local. In addition to being an important link to the Pacific Northwest, the Inside Gateway or Highline was home to lineside shippers and was served by Western Pacific's KGT, Getty Greenville Turn. On a wintry day, you're an engineer of the KGT and are preparing to depart from Getty with set-out work ahead at Crescent Mills. Your power is a duo of Western Pacific EMD GP9s. Quincy Lumber. The Quincy Railroad Short Line and Lumber Enterprises it served provided a steady flow of tonnage for the Western Pacific. You are the engineer of a Western Pacific extra local working east from Portola to Getty, and as the scenario begins, you have arrived at Quincy Junction and ready to do set out and pick up work before proceeding to Getty. Your power is a pair of Western Pacific EMD GP9s. Western Pacic's Fab 4. By the late 1970s, Western Pacific's once large fleet of EMD-F units had dwindled to 4 operable units, which became much admired by train enthusiasts and nicknamed the Fab 4. The quartet became all the more famous when F7A913 was freshly decked out in a special version of WP's silver and orange livery, while its sisters wore green and orange. You were the engineer of the Fab 4 lugging empty unit grain train at CPC eastbound, and as the scenario begins, you're at the siding of Massac, California, awaiting a meet. Western Pacific Green Clean. So there's 2 locomotives in for this locomotive, Climbing the Canyons Part 1 and 2. So it's split the very long run into a 75 and a 65-minute run by the looks of it. Western Pacific's Symbol Freight CGM, the Golden Gate merchandise, was a workhorse of the Feather River Canyon route, operating between Stockton, California, and a Rio Grande connection at Salt Lake City. With a lash-up of first-generation EMD power, you are the engineer of the GGM, and as the scenario begins, you are awaiting a meet at James. Then you'll begin the climb through to the heart of Feather River Canyon. This is a 2-part scenario. Western Pacific's Ford Fast. In the years following the discontinuance of the legendary California Zephyr, the hottest train on the Western Pacific was the Ford Fast, designated FF, which hurried auto parts and vehicles to the Ford Motor Company plant at Milpitas, California. You were the engineer of the FF, and with a trio of WP EMD GP42s are ready to depart Portola westbound. The Portola Yard Call. Situated at the east end of the Pacific's 3rd Division, Portola was busy operating terminal. You have been called to work on an afternoon switch job at Portola, and your assignments include moving cars to and from the RIP tracks and making up the consist of the 5th Subdivision B&L Local. Your power is a Western Pacific Electromotive SW9 605. A rip track, if you don't know it, is where you put all the buggered stuff for repairs. It's called a repair in place, or RIP. The Oroville Switcher. Oroville was not only an important operational point between Western Pacific's 2nd and 3rd subdivisions, but also a source of considerable traffic and tonnage. You were the engineer of the Oroville morning switch job aboard a veteran WP Electromotive SW9. You will have set out and pick up work at Lineside Industries. And the last one, which is the GEU-30B WP, which is the U-boat, I believe. On a rainy spring day, you are the engineer of Western Pacific's MDX, a secondary freight operating between Salt Lake City and the Bay Area. With a Husky WP General Electric U-30B on the point, you are at James awaiting a meet with WP's hot symbol TOF, and then you'll continue the westbound journey to Oroville. There is a free roam scenario where you can shunt around to your heart's content. Let me just scroll down in the manual so I get this right. The locomotives are all explained in the manual. I'll come back to the things you get. I just want to find the free roam. Here it is. It's the Oroville to Portola route, includes a free roam scenario for freestyle operating and switching on the 4-mile Quincy Railroad between Quincy Junction and Quincy, California. This is accessible from the free roam menu and includes SW9 and GP9 motive power. The route's also quick drive enabled. I don't really ever use quick drive, but you know, it's got it. So there. All right, let's jump in here. What we'll do, I think I'll start each scenario in turn and then I'll record them all together into a montage. That should have music, shouldn't it? Montage. But anyway, that's fine. It won't have music because I'll probably get done for it. So, here we go. Here we are in the first scenario, the inside gateway BN171. Looks like there's a little bit of shunting to do here at the start, and then we basically run through the route. So we're not going to play the whole thing, of course. Let's just have a look at our locomotives. Some nice liveries. It's interesting to put the Burlington and Northern on the front when you've got all these nice WPs to drive on their home route. Now, just a note that I am running RW Enhancer, so it fixes things like the anti-aliasing bugs and things like that with Train Sim Classic. So this does look a little bit different to the generic way it appears. Not a lot. So the route is relatively populated for scenery, especially for Train Sim Classic. This isn't too bad for Train Sim Classic World. It's a bit of my favourite mathematical artifacting over here in the placed stuff, but that's okay. They've done a pretty good job apart from that. River looks nice. It's not as harder edges as they sometimes are, and a bit of weeds in the water. That looks good. So a bit of attention to detail has been played here and there, which is nice. Distant scenery looks okay as well. I think we should probably get into this locomotive and just have a bit of a look. Will it rail driver? There's a question. Okay. Put the headlights on. How does that look now with headlights on? Yeah, okay. Cabs. It's a little Spartan, but it's not terrible by any means. Can we do nice things like open windows? Yes, that's good. Okay, so it's a more modern implementation. Good. Can we do switches? Doesn't... Well, that one can. Well, that's wipers. Okay. Instrument lights. Cab light. Alright, so those things work. We have got our headlight switch down there, which interestingly didn't reflect what I did with the keyboard. That's okay. Not really. We have a selector. Doesn't appear to do anything. Yes, it does. Look at that. Power. And the other way is probably brake, I suppose, if we go back again. Yeah, doesn't want to do it, but it's probably because we're not in. Got the reverser in. Anyway, let's go into forwards. Let's see if it works with the rail driver. So, independent brake off. Looks like it's got scripted brakes. Alright. Okay, yeah, it's got notched brakes, but it is actually apparently working okay with the rail driver. They tend to when they don't have a release and charge position, and they only have release. It seems okay. Yeah, it does stop pumping up. Good. Alright. Ooh, that was a bit of an instant start from the loco there. Okay, the amp gauge works. It's a pretty big train. It does seem like we got going awfully quickly then. Quite a prototypical horn action, but you know the deal. We're probably supposed to pick those cars there up, I suppose. So I should probably stop. I'm guessing that's what it wants me to do, is pick up those cars there. The road just sort of ends at that industry. Big piles of wood over there. What's our brakes look like? Our brakes are pretty much fully applied. It's got very prototypically slow braking. Ah. Where's the rest of my train? It's gone. Well, that explains why it started so fast, doesn't it? Is there more train back there? Let's go have a look. There is more train back here. Well. Okay, so we just left our train behind, apparently. Now, I don't know if that was deliberate, or if we are supposed to shunt those cars and then come back. I guess. That's up there. Let's just flip up there and have a look. So we want to put some cars into the Crescent Mill siding. I guess that's the ones we're hauling we want to put in the Crescent Mill siding. We probably should have done it from the other end, though, I think. But that's okay. Yeah, I think I just did the wrong thing there, so that's fine. I dare say we're putting these cars into that siding. That sort of makes some sense. So drop off 4 cars, yep. And then we've got to pick up the other ones over there. That also makes sense. And then go back and get our train all the way back there. That also makes sense. Well, this little area of town looks quite nice, so let's flip off to another scenario and have a bit of a look. Alrighty, this time we've got a pair of locomotives. We're sitting at the fuel stand. Fueling itself is not supported. But let's have a bit of a look at the scenery. Got ourselves stuck in a tree there. Let's zoom out a little. Winter time. We've fueled up. We're going to go back and get our cars, make up some other trains in the scenario is Highline Local. So we've got a little bit of shunting at the start, and then we race off down the route as expected. So yeah, winter time. It's about normal for Train Sim Classic. Scenery looks okay. We have got moving traffic down there, which means it's based on a more modern principle. And given this is a different locomotive, let's hop into the cab and have a look. Well, this cab looks a little more outfitted than the other one. So we can turn on... Can't turn on that one. Can't turn on the cab heater. Can turn on the wipers. Gauge lights, yeah, rear class lights, front class lights. So there's a bunch of stuff we can turn on. Select, let's just put it into forwards. So we should be able to go to off and to dynamic brakes, and we can. And go to off and power, which we can, that's fine. Headlights, mid and bright. Does have headlights, does have all the marker lights and things I turned on. It's nice to see some snow sitting on the locomotive actually, that's quite cool. Good winter textures. Look all right. What's the horn? Yeah. Release the independent. Release the main. So again, it's got scripted braking. Let's see how it goes with rail driver once it charges up. All right. So if we go initial reduction. So it's done near enough to a 20 pounds, probably about a 15 pound by the looks of it. Going to service. Is there a lap position? There is. It doesn't tell you in the brake alerts, but there is one. There's a train. Let's just hop outside then. The rolling stock's fairly nicely weathered. We'll just watch this go through for a moment. You do get a fair bit of rolling stock with it. Let me just scroll back up to the rolling stock list. There we go. You get the WP bay window steel caboose, 89-foot open side auto rack, the 89-foot auto boxcars, the 89-foot piggyback with track trailers, 40-foot boxcar, 50-foot boxcar, ribbed side boxcar, ribbed for your pleasure, a plug door boxcar for when you're finished with the ribs, a bulkhead flat, a centre beam flat, a 70-ton open hopper, a 3-bay covered hopper, a tank car, log rack car, maintenance away boom car, and a maintenance away crane. This one looks like a grain train. And it goes with its little caboose. Alrighty, we shall have a look at the next scenario. Right, in this scenario, just get rid of our instructions. There are quite good instructions on the scenarios, I've noticed. So we're back in summer or spring, probably. Not too sure which. We're at Quincy Junction. Distant scenery is pretty much the way distant scenery is on Train Sim Classic. Let's have a look at the route. It's rather an extensive route, and it does have a couple of branch lines coming off it, which do have scenarios for them. There's a horseshoe curve. Excellent. Well, it's fairly extensive. It's looks like the kind of route I actually like, because it's not just put it in notch 8 and go, 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 fall asleep. Bzzz. It's a bit more interesting. You're actually going to have to use your brakes, and you're going to have to use your throttle a little wisely, depending on whether you're going up or down, because you've got all these nice curves. This has some potential, I think. So in this scenario, you're basically doing a bit of a set out at Quincy. Then you're going to finish getting everything along, go by the Keddy rail track and head down to Keddy. So you've got a little bit of a run here on the Quincy short line. So that's where we are today. Okay. So it's only about an 8-mile run with a bit of switching in it. It sounds like quite interesting. We may even come back to this one and run this one. We shall see. I haven't decided which one to actually run for this video yet. All right, let's pop out and have a look at the next one. Righto then. This time we are in the Fab 4. So we've got the 4 big F7s, and we're basically going to run the entire route. So let's have a look. There are decent instructables and things to look at in the scenarios, so it's giving you a bit of an idea of what's going on. So we've got the 4 F7s there, Bulldogs, and I believe at this point we're probably waiting for another train, I think, from the briefing. We've got a pretty long train on the back, so it's going to be a decent haul through the mountains. Quite an interesting run, I think, because you'll be a little bit challenged with the F7s to do this. Scenery, like the others, is probably about as good as Train Sim Classic gets. We are waiting at a red signal, and I did note that these scenarios do suffer the issue of a lot of scripted scenarios, in that when you first come into them, the train's actually moving a little bit, and you need to bring it under control and apply the brakes, even though they're already fully applied. It seems to affect a lot of scripted trains, so let's have a look at what controls we've got. Have the instrument lights or gauge lights, which is good. Locomotive brake, train brake, very good. Can we open the windows? jaw? I don't think so. What about the door? Can we open the door? No. Okay, so this is a bit of a less functional implementation, this one. Can we get on the emergency brake over there? No. How about the horn? It's a pretty fair old F7 horn. And that is the selector currently in dynamics by the looks of things. So if we put our reverser into forwards, we should be able to move the selector. Apparently not. Okay. Can we throttle? Yes, we can throttle, but we don't want to do that because we don't actually want to go anywhere. So, headlights. So some of our switches are controllable, others are not. Class lights, number lights. We have another train going past out there. We'd better go and have a look, hadn't we? So we were indeed waiting for another train. Also another fairly long one with boxcars. The texture, that looks like the plug door ones, I think, and the texture on those looks a little flat, doesn't it? I dare say that's for performance reasons. It is a fairly long train that we're waiting for. We might actually start this one and drive, because that train's going to come past in a moment. So let's hop back into the cab while we wait. I think we're pretty much set up in here now. Oh, I've got wipers on. Boring, isn't it? Let's get rid of wipers. If we can. Wipers. Maybe that one. Alright. So this train's almost past us. So we should... Let's just put the independent brake fully on and release the automatic brake. Okay, we're in running. Hopefully the train brake's enough to hold us. There, our signal has now changed. Let's apply some power. Let's get into about notch 3, I think, and release the independent brake. And that should put us in a pretty good position. It's weird to see your own hands there. It's taken off like a bunny rabbit. So it's a little faster than I would expect for F7s to be able to haul such a large train. The braking model in TSC is not amazing though, and the physics is really awesome, but could possibly be a little bit better than that, I would think. It's not really terrible or anything, but I would have thought it would take a little longer for that to ramp up some power and get us moving, because we seem to have gotten up to 13 mile an hour and we've been running for about, I don't know, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. So we certainly have got a very long train here, because it's all the way back there, and getting that moving on a uphill gradient, I would have thought would have taken just a touch longer than that. But, that's okay. Or is it? I don't know. So we're in the single line section. So we've got all these nice curves, but the trouble is our speed limit is so low. 15 miles an hour. I'm already going to be speeding in notch 3. I have a faint suspicion that on this route I might be tempted to not pay that much attention to the speed limits, because it's a very long route, and if this speed limit lasts for a long period and isn't just for coming out of the siding, which is entirely possible, then it would take a little while to run through this whole route. Just a little while, I think. So perhaps that's why the scenarios are like 75 minutes long. Alright, that's enough for that one. Let's hop into the next one. This one is the first of the climbing the canyon scenarios, and I might note that TSC did what TSC does best when we came out of that scenario, the last one, and it went poof, like TSC is wont to do. Now, are we waiting for another train or are we free to go? We are not free to go. We have a red light. Okay, so let's just have a bit of a look around. We've already had a look at the F7s. We won't bother hopping into the cab. The scenery looks pretty nice in this area. There is a large bridge. And I'm guessing since there's a red light, there must be a train coming. So why don't we go over here for a gratuitous bridge shot? I can certainly hear one coming. Hopefully we make it to the bridge before we see the train. No, the train's going down there already. Okay, I see it going through. Let's just hurry this up then. Let's get out to the bridge. There we can see our train in the bridge. We have the track train trailers. So we still get to have our gratuitous bridge shot. Nicely, it is all reflecting properly. That's good to see. Do sometimes miss reflecting things. Shadow drawing's a bit strange, like it always is in this game. That's all right. It's just how it is. All right, let's wander back down here and let's just pop around this little corner here so we can see this train come past properly. Let me sit about here, I think. You may remember I mentioned that the trains are often creeping when you get them. So let's just put the brakes on that train so it doesn't go anywhere. Now, the F7 doesn't rail driver quite as well as you might hope. So you're probably going to be using the keyboard for the brakes on the F7. We've got our little truck trailers there. The wheels seem to be modelled as solid things instead of having two single tyres. While we do see big modern wide tyres sometimes on trucks today, you did not see them in this time frame. But like most things, that's probably just a bit of texturing action for performance, I suspect. Alright, so this scenario basically just runs through the whole route and you get to drive everywhere. I do note the speed limit here is 20 miles an hour, which is a little better than others. Alrighty, let's hop out and have a look at the next one. Alright, we're in the Fast Forward, which is auto parts and cars. And we are ready to depart apparently, although we have a red signal, so can't just yet. Probably have to throw some points somewhere or something similar. Or that might not be my signal. That might be my signal up there, the green one. That's quite possible. So we are... Let's just change camera views. Oops, that's a bit narky. Okay, we have got a very nicely detailed yard over here, which I really like to see. There's a lot of rolling stock hanging around. I also like to see that. So this route could potentially challenge your average potato, I think. So, how is our frame rate, I wonder? Oh, it's getting about 72, and I'm running on a bit of a beast, so, yeah, it could well challenge potatoes, I think. But it looks quite nice. I do quite like this. Excuse me, having a little cough there. Very unprofessional. Alrighty, let's see what this train feels like, shall we? And let's figure out if this signal is ours or not. Because we're about to find out. I have a faint suspicion that one up there is ours. So this is a much more detailed, more modern cab. It's good. And we can actually control our engine, which is nice. Alright, let's pop on some headlights into brights. Let's get our reverser into forward. That's interesting, because the rail driver just went into emergency. Let's just release that while we're getting ready. Step lights we can turn on, gauge lights we can turn on. The brakes, of course, are still running. We have the actual airflow meter works. That's fabulous. I like that. So many locomotives we have and the airflow meters don't work. I think that probably charged the train up a little quickly. Oh, and we're taking off like a bunny rabbit again. straight to 15,000 amps in notch 2. Would be a little bit surprised at that, but you know, I guess. They look nice. Yeah, they are using Bunny Rabbit physics, and yes, the green signal was mine. They're already up to 15 miles an hour, and we've been running 20 seconds, so yes, Bunny Rabbit physics. Boing, boing, boing. But it looks good. It looks excellent, actually. No, I'm speeding. How horrific. I do like the clutter everywhere. That's really, really nice. Nice to see some panels of track. That's quite nicely done, actually. A lot of black roofed cars. Alright, so the town scenery, top notch. I do like. Very much. Lots of rolling stock around. I like that as well. Very cool. Alrighty, shall we go to the next scenario and have a look? Because I don't think you want to sit here for the couple of hours it would take to drive the whole route. So we'll be back with another scenario in just a moment. Oh, there's some good news. Look, there's a 35 mile an hour speed limit coming up. We'll just ignore that I'm doing. Take over. Alrighty, let's come back for the other scenario. A couple more to go. Alright, this time we are in Portola Yard. We've got our little switching locomotive. This is the same yard we were in before, and in fact I think this locomotive was actually sitting here in the scenario just before this one. So, got some people hanging around. They seem to do things. Checking his watch. He's got very large hands, that man. He'll make somebody happy with those. So we've got some rolling stock. There's a man with a pork pie hat. A man with another pork pie hat. I guess these are purloined from a British route, perhaps. And of course we've got the American truck. It's not a truck. That's a truck. Anyway, does that say Lego on the back? Leg 480. Okay, it's not a Lego. This one we do some shunting around the yard. It looks like it could actually be a bit of fun. So we're going to move some things around, pop things on the wet track, put a little consist together, and we're going to move around a little bit. So it looks like it could be a fun little scenario. I like a bit of shunting. So we're on to the next one. Oh, we didn't move this yet, did we? Ah, okay. We should do that, shouldn't we? So we've got a cab heater that we can't do anything with. Instrument light dimmer. That works. Okay. Can we open window? Yes, we can open windows. Fabulous. Put our... can't do much with any of those apart from the wipers. Okay, let's go into forwards. Can we move the selector? Doesn't look like the selector's available in this one. What does the horn sound like? We've got... oh, okay. It's an air-operated bell. And an air-operated sander. That would be quite a handsy cab, wouldn't it? I didn't hear any brake noises when I released the brakes then. And it's going a bit nutty on the bail-offs and things, so it's not quite rail driving properly. Alright, let's go into reverse. Push our way through these points and flip them over. Dunk. This task was unsuccessful. Oh no. It's got pedantic scenarios. That's okay. You need to actually pay attention when you're playing the scenarios in this one. Anyway, drives okay. I want to see if it makes noises when I apply the brakes. No, it's got no air noises at all. The brakes don't rail driver very well. So, no, this one's a bit of a loser on the rail driver front, but that just means you've got to do it with keyboard. Yes. Look at that. Dump the air. No noise at all. Oh, dear. You see, to me, when you don't have amazing physics, you need amazing looks and you need amazing sound. So this loco's a fail on the physics front, and it's a fail on the sound front. Oh well, needs 2 out of the 3 to be good. So it's not. Alright, on to the next one. See you soon. This time we're in the Oroville yard. So let's just zoom up and take a bit of a look. Got a little bit of a roundhouse there, turntable, bit of industry over there, a little bit of a town. Let's just come back down. Let's see what the detail level looks like. Look at this. Isn't that cute? All the cars actually parked around the roundhouse on the roundhouse tracks. That's just cute, isn't it? We have a turntable, which I presume must be operational. I'm guessing. Didn't let me do anything with it. There's probably some secret to it. I haven't read the manual for the turntable, so I'm not going to put any poo on the turntable not moving. I would, however, put a little bit of poo on the fact that the turntable steps have in fact gone down into the ground and will plough, and the turntable's not actually sitting on its track. That I'll put a bit of poo on. Some would say that's okay. Maybe that's why it doesn't turn, because it's in the dirt. But anyway, you've got a few locomotives there hanging around. Looks relatively realistic. Got some nice clutter again. Nice bits and pieces. The scenario is this locomotive over here. We have got a fuel rack. It looks decidedly grubby and dirty. I actually appreciate that. Stuff just tossed there. I would have thought it would sit on the ground rather than float in the air, but that's okay. Bit of a yard over here. Got a tractor. What do we got here? Sleepers? Wooden poles of some kind. They're certainly not sleepers, but just stacked up poles by the look. Very good. Yeah, it looks nice. We may come back to this one and do a little bit of switching, but let's go and have a look at the last one. This is the only one with a different manufacturer's locomotive. We've got the U30B. We're in the rain. Nice stormy sky. It looks nice. Quite prototypical for an evening storm. And that's what it is. We have our little train here. We are waiting for another train to come around the corner, which has in fact already started around the corner. And in fact, if we zip up in the air, in fact, you can see it over there. There it is. Look at that. There's its bottom, going over there. Shouldn't look at a train's bottom without consent. It's rude. Let's have a look at this little warehouse over here while we're waiting for the other train to come through, because we can't do anything without that. So again, it's fairly nicely set up. Reasonably cluttered. Looks like this company actually takes care of its landscape. So it's kind of cool. Let us jump in the U30B and get her set up. So, dial lights they're called. Oh! Missing texture! That's what that screams out. So we're not going to run with the lights on because, oh dear. That's okay, as they say. Step lights, cab light. We can have a cab light on and off. We'll leave that on for the moment. It looks a bit nicer. We have got an oscillating light. That's the rear headlight. We want the front headlight, don't we? Let's put that on bright. Oscillating headlight on bright. Let's get our reverser into forwards. Well, this one does have brake noises. Okay, let's fully apply the independent so we don't roll away. Sounds like our other train's coming. Where's our windscreen wiper switch? Don't know. Let's listen to the horn. Seems a tad quiet. Here's our other train coming. Do we have... We have openable windows. And we're rolling. The independent fully applied. A little bit surprising. I'd love to look at the other train, but... Oh, I can't really, because I can't find the windscreen wipers. Let's just go out of the cab then and have a look. Our train is slowly rolling along. Even though the independent brake is fully applied. It is on a bit of a gradient, but, you know... Doesn't have to hold for very long. Let's see if we can find these wipers, shall we? Do you see a switch for wipers? Just sing out if you do. Of course, you can't do that, can you? A little Spartan on the back cab wall there. Not a lot of writing, no switch labels. Start. Sand, which doesn't appear to be operable. Oh, that sand switch is operable, so that's fine. What's that? Number lights? No? Don't see a windscreen wiper switch anywhere. Fortunately, I've got a rail driver and I should be able to just start them anyway. Let's give that a try. See if it works. Ah! Alright then. Now, the back of that train's almost here, so in a moment we'll get going. Now, this one is running downhill already, so the bunny rabbit start will be perfectly okay. There we go, we've got a green signal. Got some nice brake sounds. Sounds alright. Now, we do have a dynamic handle, which is magnificent. The independent brake is bailing off again, of course. Don't know why. It's reading something on the rail driver which isn't happening. That won't happen to you people who play on keyboard. You poor unfortunate sods. Ooh, nice smoke. You should probably notch off. Quincy boards. We're about to go into a tunnel down the front there. Let's try out the dynamic, shall we? Ooh, works. So I've just pushed the rail driver into the dynamic region on its throttle. And setup appears to have happened based on the jerkiness. In fact, we've got some dynamic braking even though we're only in setup, which is interesting. Let's pop her into dynamic 1. That's certainly having an effect. It's not very steep, so the effect is probably okay. What about the flashing lights in here? I don't know how long this tunnel actually is. I've got a little while to go. Perhaps we'll drive this one. We better put some instrument lights on. Oh dear! Oops. Bugger. Alright. So we'll just sit here in the dark. Let's bring our dynamics off, shall we say, because we're slowing down rather a lot there. Let's just let gravity have its hold. So in this scenario, we're basically doing a bit of a run, going by the LC passing siding east-west, going into Cram. Go via the Oroville depot, Oroville Main East, and Oroville Track 2. So if we look at our things showing the task, We're coming around this horseshoe curve now. And we're going to down there. Well, that's not too far. We might even drive this one. You never know. Have to drive one scenario on the route, don't we? Let's speed back up and then we can find out whether the brake's rail driver or not. Get a bit of fang happening. We don't really need the wipers in the tunnel here. Still kind of curious where the wiper switch is. There must be one somewhere. Maybe that's it. No, that's the oscillating lights still. Oh, we appear to be out of the tunnel. Still trying to find my wiper switch. Does the bell work? Oh, yeah. No, I do not see a wiper switch. Okay. I'm probably just missing it. I just can't see it. I'm just blind. There must be one, surely. Surely you wouldn't put a train into a scenario where it starts out raining and you wouldn't notice that there isn't a wiper switch. I mean, surely. There must be one here somewhere. As they say, that's okay. So we're down in the lower lands part of the route. Coming into a 50-mile-an-hour section. How's our performance outside yards? Oh, look at that, 100 FPS. It's a little different to what we saw in the yard. So we've got what's basically a 40% drop of performance because of the detail in the yards. Now, I appreciate that detail, but I am worried for the potato owners. Not everybody can afford to run their gaming rig in a large way. It's not my day today. Had to go to the doctors during the week, and as usual when you go to the doctors, you sit near sick people and you catch a cold because they're at the doctors with a cold. Why? Because they're tosspots. Don't go to the doctor when you've got a cold, folks, unless it's really bad. Is this formation made entirely of ballast? Is that a lake? Oh no, it's just distant scenery. It's just very, very flat distant scenery. It's like the sky is ended and started again. It's a strange sky, isn't it? I got an award! Woo! I'm sorry, that sounded very sarcastic. Let's come off the brakes, even though we're on a 1% gradient, and we should have dynamics pumping hard at the moment, but no, it's slowing us down too much. Even though I believe I was in Dynamics 1. So that must be the most powerful dynamic brake on the planet. It's put all the Fred Flintstone feet down onto the ground and they're just skidding along. So I think if I get into driving this route, I'm going to hop into these engines with TS Tools, and I'm going to fix them. We'll be taking the siding at Elsie. Woo! Okay, 2 miles to Elsie, and we're going to have to stop by the sound of things. That's fine. It's almost like that's some kind of mist effect, isn't it? Maybe whatever they're using for skies in this doesn't like RW enhanced very much. That is quite possible. So we'll give it the benefit of the doubt. As people push the boundaries in TSC, sometimes the boundaries they push aren't accommodated by the third-party tools. We'll drive this down to the LC siding, and I think we'll probably end this look there. So if I was marking it out of 5, I think in a general sense, probably give it a 3. I got another award. Look at that. It's full of awards. Oh my god, it's full of awards. Let's see what the brakes are like, because we've got a 20 mile coming up. So are they going to rail drive it nicely? I've got it set on minimum reduction on the HUD, but I haven't seen anything happen on the brakes. Maybe we'll go up a little more. Alright, now it's on minimum reduction. What about a bit more of a service brake, and can we lap? No. Okay, so it's an implied lap. That's not that uncommon. It may actually work that way in this locomotive. Some of them do. I'm not familiar with how the U30B should run, so can't comment on that. Looks like the brakes are relatively rail driver friendly though, which is pleasing. Yeah, I know. Too long, short, long. Americans can all just hate me a little bit. That's fine. I'm wondering how high quality the textures are on the cars, because they are just a touch jerky. Could be another issue for potato people. Ooh, nice compressor noise. That released awfully quickly. On the locomotive, yes, that would have been about right, but I wouldn't have expected to see the main perhaps pop up quite so fast then. And I noticed the equalising reservoir didn't move at all. So I think my verdict is it looks magnificent. It's running okay. The locomotive physics is a bit, little eager, shall we say. In the acceleration department. They all appear to be a little eager in the acceleration department. In the braking department, this one was nice. It was quite a reasonable braking that we got out of this one. But one of the other ones that I did at the start, when I put the brakes on, I had 40 pounds in the cylinder and it didn't seem to be doing anything. Let's use our overly strong dynamics. Go into dynamics 1. So we don't have a small train. Look what that's doing. Oh, it's settling down a bit now. Oh, there it goes. So we're on a 0.6% gradient. That's not steep by any means. But I wouldn't have thought notch 1 on the dynamics would have this effect. Let's just pull it back out of dynamics again, because this isn't the smallest train on the planet. It's quite a sizable selection of cars. So, dynamics running that quick? It's nice to see some rolling stock just sitting somewhere. So it's been dropped out for bad orders or whatever. That sort of thing is always appreciated. The hard edge to the clouds has me going though. Half a mile to our signal, we have to stop and wait for another train. I think looks-wise, given its train sim classic, we'll push up a little. But it's probably about a 4 out of 5 for looks. I mean, there's a few things I don't like the straight lines of mathematically generated scenery around the place, but that's life. It's a big area of land. You can't really expect much else. Be nice to bring some randomness into it. Let's just hop back into the cab and apply the brakes. Well, this time minimum reduction worked. Look at that. It's interesting. Minimum reduction is not slowing us down all that much, though. It certainly is slowing us down. We've got our signals here, so we probably better stop, I think. Let's give it all the brakes. Full service, but I think we're going to run straight through this little signal here. Oh no, we'll just use the dynamics. Yeah, we're going to run straight through a red signal now. And it didn't kill us. Are we going to make it? Are we going to make it, or are we going into the side of this train? Oh, we've done a spad, but, you know, we're okay. We're not going into the side. It's fine. The dynamics did stop it very quickly, as I thought they might. In about one locomotive length, we stopped the entire train using the dynamics. Yeah, so looks 4 out of 5. Clutter and things. Yeah, I think that's what bumps it up. The scenarios, you've got a really good selection of scenarios. So 5 out of 5 on the scenarios for sure. Locomotives, they have bunny hop problems. They're a bit bunny-ish, bit fast, bit jumpy. Brakes are a bit variable across the locomotives, and there's one that doesn't work with the rail driver at all. And that's not that unusual for scripted brakes, so sometimes you just have to use the keyboard because they just don't like rail driver. That's fine. Sound, 3. No, I reckon she's okay. Yeah, our little signal's still red, but that's probably because we passed it. That's alright. The scenario's moved on. Let's just go on to the 8 camera. Let's go and see if the switch is closed. Yeah, it does appear to have flipped over, doesn't it? By the looks. So I think that little red signal's there because we're past the signal and we did in fact spad, which is something that we would be explaining to our dispatcher right about now, and he'd be going, oh. Alright, I need to know. Not Jate. Weirdly, I reckon she accelerates slower in Notch 8 than she does in Notch 2. But there you go. And I'm speeding again. I'm so naughty. Alrighty, we might leave this one here, I think. So, Feather River Canyon Enhanced. I agree, it certainly looks a whole lot better. The train physics could certainly be better. The locomotive configuration, I think they're a little too powerful. And the braking is quite variable across the different locomotives, so perhaps that needs a bit of attention. There are some missing textures on this one. I did see a couple of milk bottles floating around before in one of the yards, so that indicates some missing assets as well, so something's not packaged into the route. But apart from that, I think she goes pretty well. It's a massive route, so there's plenty of playtime in the driving in here, and it's not a Notch 8 go go go, it's a think about it and drive route, which I appreciate. That's a good thing to have. And there is a huge bunch of scenarios for it, so I appreciate that very much as well. I like the amount of gameplay that comes with this one. The locomotives are, of course, fixable. If you know how to use TS tools, you can edit the locomotive config and reduce the power and improve the braking and just make things happen a bit better. And then you'll be fine. That weird sky is just getting me. It really is, but granted, it could be RW Enhancer having a fight with whatever their sky they're using, because this is not a standard TSC sky by the looks of it. It looks like someone else's sky. It's just blending in with what I assume is hills. But, you know, that looks like water. It looks like a lake. It's just weird. But anyway, that's fine. So, Feather River Canyon Enhanced. Is it enhanced? Yes. Alrighty. Have fun, folks. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. See you later.
We played a game.